Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about why the world needs Bitcoin. If you would like to get Bitcoin or cash back with your online or in-store purchases, there's a link to Lolly, which I'll leave in the description below. So why does the world need Bitcoin? The world needs a store of value that is resistant to the increases in the money supply by governments in various fiat currencies. Pretty much every fiat currency that's been in existence has failed. There are some that hold up their value better than others, but still at the end of the day, they're all trending towards zero. Our dollar used to be backed by gold, and this limited the amount of money that the Federal Reserve could print because the dollar used to be redeemable for gold. And if you would go to the bank, the idea was that before 1971, you used to be able to go to the bank and request gold for your dollars because your dollars were as good as gold. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. And we've seen a flight to gold. Gold now has a market cap of around $20 trillion and a market price of around $3,100 an ounce. So the world is waking up to this whole idea of your money, your dollars being worth less and less over time. This is the cause of most of the cost of living struggles we're seeing today. And I think it's only going to continue to get worse because the government's just going to continue printing more and more money out of thin air forever. There's been a big shift since 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. So I asked ChatGPT how much the US dollar supply has increased since January of 2020, and its response was, since January 2020, the US M2 money supply has increased significantly. In January 2020, the M2 money supply was approximately 15.4 trillion. As of January 2025, it has reached about 21.56 trillion, marking an increase of approximately 6.16 trillion or 40% in 5 years. It goes on to say the substantial growth occurred primarily between 2020 and 2021, driven by the Federal Reserve's quantitative easing measures in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. After peaking in April 2022 at 21.72 trillion, the M2 supply experienced a slight decline, but has showed a gradual uptrend since late 2024, and goes on to explain that the money supply includes cash, checking deposits, saving deposits, small denomination time deposits, and retail money market mutual funds. As this money gets pumped into the economy, chasing the same amount of goods, prices are almost guaranteed to rise because you have more and more dollars chasing the same amount of goods. So this applies to things, in the grocery store, things you purchase regularly. It also includes assets. So we've seen massive, massive asset price inflation for housing, stocks trading at ridiculous PE ratios, housing, homes going for sale being sold well over market price. And even those market prices have seen just really preposterous increases since 2020. And the world needs a way out. It's not sustainable. I think if you're a younger person, you feel this more and have maybe some hopelessness about the situation. But if you just held some Bitcoin, you would probably be doing much better. I think during the pandemic at the start, Bitcoin, like everything else, saw a dip. I think we crashed to around $3,000. Today, Bitcoin is trading for $82,547. It's March 30th, 2025. So as the time of making this video, we're sitting at about $82,500. And if you held Bitcoin since then, I could even look at the 5-year chart, you'd be up about 1,047%. So that's an 11.5x. And that, of course, more it covers inflation and then some. So you would be fine. You and your family wouldn't have the same experience of inflation ravaging your energy and purchasing power as you would if you were holding US dollars. And keep in mind that the US dollar is the strongest currency, fiat currency, meaning the rest of the world is likely in worse shape. And really, the demand for Bitcoin is most of the money in the world, I would say, as far as store of value, because it holds its value better than everything else. Of course, it has volatility, but people only complain about volatility when the price is going down. Usually, individuals aren't complaining about Bitcoin volatility when the price goes up. We saw the Bitcoin price hit a record 110,000 earlier this year and has since seen a little bit of a decline, but we'll just see this trend continue. More and more money will be printed, and everyone who has assets will experience asset price inflation. They will get wealthier. If you work for your money, you get a paycheck, you get paid in dollars, you are going to lose purchasing power forever unless you get some pretty hefty promotions back to back and really keep up. But again, it's a losing battle. If you buy Bitcoin, there's only 21 million. There's only so much to go around. We see the US spot ETFs hold well over 1 million Bitcoin. We have Michael Saylor holding over 500,000 Bitcoin. We have the United States and China, various other countries holding Bitcoin. We have El Salvador mining Bitcoin using volcanic energy, which is pretty interesting. And the demand for Bitcoin keeps growing. And if you didn't know, something that's interesting is that Bitcoin supply, 94% of it has already been issued. So for the next, let's say 115 years is when the remaining 6% is released. Most Bitcoin is already in the hands of individuals or other entities, corporations, governments. And as the rest of the world continues to experience pain from fiat currency debasement, eventually they'll get Bitcoin. At what price, that remains to be seen. If you guys like the content, please consider subscribing, giving the video a thumbs up, and I'll speak with you soon. Thanks.